tunes you can tap your toes to, and songs that will transport you to misty mountains and moors. This is Brian Kelso-Crow inviting you to join me for Celtic Connections.
Listen to Celtic Connections every Saturday afternoon at 1 on KSJE 90.9 FM, Farmington. The material discussed in this program is for information purposes only. It is not intended to be used as a recommendation for investing or as legal advice. Each person has his or her specific situation, circumstance, and objective, and should consult their own personal advisor or counsel. Thursday morning here on KSJE, it's time for our Save a Buck Thursday segment. That's when we check on the economy, and Darren Church is joining us via the telephone this morning from his office at Citizens Trust and Investment Corporation. Darren, good morning.
Good morning, Scott.
Thanks for being with us this morning, and how's the week looking so far?
Well, so far we've had a little extra geopolitical news.
Yes, right.
Going on, so that certainly has a bit of an impact on the markets, albeit not too much. I'm looking, the market looks like it's opening basically flat. We're not seeing a lot of increase. We didn't see a lot of movement yesterday in the markets either. We did get some numbers today on GDP.
Right.
Quarter GDP, the estimate was around 2.2%. It's actually revised upward to a 2.6% GDP growth in the fourth quarter, which is better than we expected. Really, mostly business spending, infrastructure spending for business, buying equipment, software, spending some of that cash that they have on hand. But that certainly helped the GDP. For the full year, it looks like 2018 GDP came in at 3.1%. So that's a little higher than most of the estimates. But for the full year at 3.1%, that's nice, steady growth. We would take that, year after year if we could have that.
Right.
Not have booms and busts, but nice solid growth for 2018. And we'll see where we go for 2019. The thought is that some of the severe weather, and we've kind of had a little bit of that here.
Yes, we have.
Some of the severe weather in the country might have an impact, and then the government shutdown may have an impact, probably will have an impact on first quarter GDP when we start to get those numbers later in the year. But overall, we still think the economy is growing as rapidly as it did the first 2 or 3 quarters of last year. We still see growth in the market. But you and I talked before we came on the air. Year over year, the markets are up. They didn't set records year over year. Year to date, the markets are pretty strong, but we had quite a downturn in the fourth quarter of 2018. But year over year, the Dow's up almost 4%, S&P's up 2.9%, and the NASDAQ, which is pretty tech-heavy, that's up 3.73% year over year. So we are still seeing growth in the markets, and we do anticipate that, but we certainly don't anticipate huge numbers and double-digit numbers in the equity growth. Right.
Okay, very good. And then any news on oil and gas prices this week?
I can look while we're talking, Scott.
Okay.
It looks like I think oil. We're sitting at 56.92 right now.
Okay.
On, West Texas Intermediate, and natural gas 284. So it's still just kind of plugging away. I think locally we always look at those prices. We also look at what's going on with the power plant, and I'm sure you've touched on. But I know you did on the Facebook page at least share the news that we're looking at maybe finding a buyer for.
That's right, the city of Farmington. That's right.
Yep.
And
so kudos to them for trying to do this, and we'll see where it goes. But
indeed, that's true. And of course, but it's again when we talk about severe weather, I'm surprised that the price of natural gas is still kind of hovering where it's been hovering. It doesn't seem to move all that much with the ins and outs of weather forecasting.
Yeah, and I think that's just still a supply and demand.
Right.
And we're really good at getting it out of the ground right now. So it's and there's still quite a bit of supply. But yeah, you're right with the severe all the cold we had in the Midwest and in the Northeast. My goodness, you'd think that those prices would have gone up, but it's still hovering, in that high 2s, low 3s range. It seems like it's been there for a long time.
Right. Interesting. Okay. Well, Darren, always appreciate your expertise. Thanks for joining us this week.
All right. Thank you, Scott.
All right. Thank you very much. That's Darren Church, the president of Citizens Trust and Investment Corporation, my guest here on KSJE.